I've got a question for you. A good question here at the end of 2022, at the beginning of 2023. We look back at the last year and can reflect on a lot of things, and we look forward into the new year and begin to plan and dream about new stuff, new opportunities. It's a great time of year to just reflect, and I am at Hollywood Cemetery, which is a place of reflection. The wisest man to ever live, Solomon, said that it's better to be at the house of the mourning than the house of the feasting. Why would he say that? Solomon understood that death brings perspective, and we're all going to end up here. It's a great place to reflect because God has made our hearts for eternity. Solomon said that as well. He didn't make our hearts for this earth. This is temporal, and we all experience the pain, the suffering, the loss, and the joy of life this side of heaven. But a cemetery gives us that perspective in real time. It's tangible. We feel it. We see it. We have people we know here. Especially in this spot. This is right where my dad is buried. In this spot, there's lots of people that I remember that have gone on to eternity. So a place of reflection. So the question for you that I have today is, what do you want? What do you really want in 2023? You know, we can commit ourselves for 11 months, and that's basically what I want to do as a church. I want to take the month of January and ask the Lord what we need to commit to, what you need to commit to. I want you to ask that question. I'm not going to tell you how you should be committed. I want you to determine how the Lord wants you to be committed in 2023 to His kingdom, to building His kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. What does that look like in your life? I want to take the month of January and really drill down and ask that question. We're going to be preaching through the foundations of Grace Church, so that at the end of January, you will know what Grace Church is all about. You can decide if that's the church for you. But at the end of January, I want you to fill out a commitment card. And that commitment card is going to involve what you're going to commit your time to. Maybe it's prayer for a group of prayer in Grace Church. Maybe it's a small group. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's serving in some capacity in Hot Springs or in Grace. Maybe it's giving a certain way, a certain amount for the year. Maybe it is deciding that you're going to be equipped for certain ministry. All of those are great things to pray about, but you need to decide what you need to commit to. You know, commitment is something we see throughout the Bible. It would come in the form of a covenant. So we have an old covenant in the Old Testament, and we have a new covenant. And God is the one who establishes a covenant. He says, I'm going to commit to do this. And in the Bible, we see conditional covenants. In other words, He says, I'm going to commit to do this if you'll commit to do this. But we also have unconditional covenants in the Bible, where God says, I'm going to commit to do this regardless of what you do. So I want you to think about grace. Grace is that unconditional. Aren't you grateful that God was faithful to His covenant? Regardless of our faithfulness, that's what grace is all about. And that's the kind of God we serve. So let's consider committing ourselves to His mission, to what God is doing here in Hot Springs through grace. I think we have great opportunities in front of us of what God wants to do, but it takes people committed to His calling. It takes that. And so I'm going to challenge you to pray about that, to think about that. I'm going to think about that myself. For me, what that means for Grace, January is going to be a month of commitment. I want to do this every year. I think it's good annually to recommit, to reconsider, to pray and ask God, what is this year going to be about? And so I want to make this a pattern for us every year in January, that we make that the month of commitment. So we'll start on January the 8th. with our first sermon, and we'll be communicating with you what the opportunities are, what our church is all about, and as we reflect on our life here on planet Earth, what God wants to do through us. One of my favorite verses in my life that I've used throughout my life is Colossians 3:23. And this verse has been a opportunity for me to measure success in my life. You know, success is really all about how you determine it. We can all be successful, and depends on what you define success as. What is success? And so I always think about this verse when I think about success. In 2023 here in Hot Springs, I want Grace Church to be successful. We've talked about some of the ways we can measure success at Grace. Some of those are, to me, the fruits of the Spirit. Okay? So, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. Those are great measures of success because that means the Spirit is manifesting through us that kind of fruit. We'll always look at the fruit of the Spirit. Another way of measuring success, and another thing that I do, is this verse, Colossians 3:23, that says, whatever you do, do it with all of your heart for the Lord, not for man. I'm going to read that again, or memorize that, or quote that again for you. Colossians 3:23, whatever you do it with all of your heart for the Lord, not for man. To me, one of the great measurements of success is just that. Using all my heart, committing all my heart to the Lord and to working for Him, serving Him with everything I've got, and not getting caught up in serving man or pleasing man. That's a hard thing to do, but to me, a great measurement for success of 2023 is that we give all our hearts to the Lord in everything we do. We do it for His glory and His honor, serving Him, loving Him, sacrificing for Him. That's what I want to do in 2023. I want to challenge you to pray about that and think about that. You know, as you think about life and death, the cemetery, as I said, is a great place to think about those things, because the Bible tells us you and I don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't know if we'll be above the ground or below the ground. There's a lot of people here that I loved that are in the ground. Their bodies are gone. Their spirits have gone on to be with the Lord. And so, as you reflect, we don't know what 2023 will bring. We don't know what we'll be faced with, challenges, opportunities, life, death, sickness, health, joy, sorrow. All those things are possible. But the thing we do have control over is what we're going to do every day we wake up, every day we breathe air, every day we have an opportunity to serve the Lord, to give, to sacrifice, to love, to bear His fruit. We have control over that today. Today we can walk in His Spirit. And today is the opportunity we have right in front of us. And whatever you do, if you do it with all of your heart for the Lord, you're going to stack up days, the days the Lord gives you. And you're going to stack up days that build in His kingdom. And that's where we're going to spend eternity. Because God has made our hearts, He's made our lives not for this, but for eternity. That's what He's made us. That's why we long for. We long for that eternal peace. We long for that eternal joy. We long for His presence forever. That's what we were made for. So while we're here, let's make the most of the opportunity, because we're only here for a temporary time. And this cemetery is a reflection. It's a reminder to us of what we're all about, what this life is all about. So let me go back to my original question. What do you want? What do you really want to do in 2023? I'm going to give you an opportunity to write it down, to hand it in, to be committed to what the Lord is asking you to do and to commit to. Let's do this together. And let's praise His name, worship His name. To God be the glory for the great things that He's going to do. Happy New Year, Grace. I look forward to January the 8th.